Coming up on Good Evening KU, Katie Lehnherr joins us with an exclusive interview about how she handles volleyball, Greek life, and being a KU student. Jake Stevens reviews a movie called Doctor Strange, more to come on his rating. And a look at the weather. It's the middle of November, and we're all wondering when winter will hit. More to come with the weather. Stay with us. Welcome to Good Evening KU. I'm Taylor Thomas.
And I'm Maggie Tarantino.
So this weekend was both of our dads' weekends,
What?
along with 8 other fraternities and sororities. So
I cannot believe
I know, mad chaos, just so much going on all weekend.
Yeah, my dad had a hard time finding a hotel.
Yes, I know, and you have to book it so far in advance.
I know.
Thankfully, they send out emails like within your sorority and
Yeah.
fraternity, like we blocked off this section, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of 8 all in a row, like all in the same weekend.
Probably had to get it done before Thanksgiving break. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I agree. But I think I like that more than having them spaced out throughout the entire semester, because then everyone's with their dad at the same time instead of you showing up to like places or events and being like, here's my dad too. Like everyone just has their dad, and it's all like a common understanding of having your
They
dad.
can mingle too.
Yes, they can go do their own thing, and we can do our own thing, and then we'll all come together. That's fun.
Where'd you and your dad go?
So we stayed at the Oriad, and this is my favorite weekend because I get to stay in the Oriad too, which is so much nicer than my twin.
I've never stayed in there before.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. Their rooms are so dark and so cold that you just are so cold and sleep for hours. But it was very fun. We the first night we did like a dad's dinner, and I feel like that's kind of common.
Yeah.
And then the next day we just went to local establishments and hung out with friends. And
so fun.
yeah, my dad's brother and best friend were also in town because it was Fiji's dad's weekend too.
Okay.
So they all hung out, which was really fun.
Good.
Yeah. What did you and your dad do?
We just hung out with a lot of other families, and then we went to the Eldridge for a really long time.
Fun.
So yeah, we did that, and then we went into the game for a little.
There you go. How'd that go?
It was good. Like, we were winning for a really long time, and then we lost it at the end, but
Yeah.
it was still fun to go to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always fun. And it's such a good dad thing to do, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because they like watching sports and football a lot more than we do. And we're like, oh, this is a good, like, family-oriented, all that thing.
And it was
together.
so cold in the morning, and then it got really hot at the game.
I know. It was really nice out.
I
I'm
know.
so happy because I remember Dad's weekend last year, I had to have, like, hand warmers and was just freezing and miserable the entire time. But this weekend, I was just so pleasantly surprised with
very
like
nice.
leggings and a t-shirt, and you were like so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of KU football, also KU basketball did so well last night. It was such a fun game. Did you watch the game?
Yes, I did. I didn't get to go anywhere to watch it, but I watched it at home.
There you go.
Might have been the only one watching it, but still a supporter.
I know. It was such an exciting game, and Duke, I believe, was ranked first, and we were in 7th, so it was just outrageous that we won. But we ended at 77 to 75, which is so exciting. And I was at one of the local establishments with all of my friends, and the second that Frank Mason made that jump shot, everyone was just screaming and jumping, and it was so much fun. So we have a small clip that we're going to watch of like just the last seconds of it, and it's just so much fun. Also, yes, so we can watch him shoot and make it, and they were so frustrated, but I just can't even imagine like how he would feel in that moment. It would just be outrageous. And everyone's like, yes, thank God he made it. It was so fun and such an awesome thing for us.
Of this game, Frank Mason, the toughest player on the floor.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
How about that?
And do you know if they're home?
Yeah, it's home.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Because they've been in Hawaii and New York, and now I'm like, hello, I want to see you guys actually play.
I know.
So it'll be very exciting. Yes. Well, in other news, tonight is percentage night. This is a shameless plug for Fuzzies. Natural Ties, I'm the social chair for Natural Ties, so go and grab Fuzzies, and it's a percentage night, so yay.
And coming up next, check out this tease from one of our crew members. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. I'm Taylor Thomas, and I'm here with Katie Lehnherr. So Katie and I talked about earlier that you are involved in KU Club Volleyball, and you're involved in Greek life, and you have a double major in journalism and Spanish with a minor in business, trying to get all my facts straight. So that is so exciting, but how did you get involved in all of these different things?
Well, it started when I just came to KU in general. I'm an out-of-state student, so I didn't know anyone coming here, and I heard that Greek life was a good way to meet people. I went through recruitment my first semester freshman year, met a lot of people, good decision, and then I had a really good freshman year, but one thing that was kind of always missing was volleyball. I had been playing competitively for 8 or 9 years when I came to college, and I really, really missed it. It was something that I needed. So second semester, I went out for the team, and here we are.
And now you have, aren't you the president?
Yes, I'm president.
So exciting, so much fun. So it's a cute photo of you and your team there.
I was hoping we won nationals.
There you go. Also, what do you think the hardest thing about managing all of these things is for you?
Besides keeping on top of sleeping, I would say honestly just keeping like the passion for it all. You start doing stuff because you love it, but once it becomes piled on top of each other, you get so busy it's hard to feel like it's actually like worth something that you keep wanting to do it.
Shield
So
laws in some states like
keeping like the energy to
don't
keep
protect
going.
students
and
and
the
journalists
passion
and
of it
causes
that's
many
done
challenges
it all
as
and
opposed to
stuff
their
like that.
professional
Well, what do you think the
counterparts,
best
stated by
part
Janelle
is
Belmont.
for you?
For me, probably meeting a ton of different people. I think that I am lucky to know a bunch of different groups of people, a bunch of different backgrounds and things like that. I love people in general. So
Networking.
So getting to know a bunch of people is definitely a good opportunity. And I think that like when I'm done in college after 4 years, like something I will look back on and be like thankful for is the fact that I did put myself out there to meet a bunch of different people.
Very fun. So do you have any advice that you would give other KU students?
Specifically freshmen, get involved early. I think that was something that I wish I would have done. I just always thought that I was too young, I was too, I didn't have enough experience, but really, I think that, we're all in college, like we all have great experience, so I think if you got involved earlier, you can do so much more with your school.
What do you think that is the best lesson that you've learned?
Probably learning how to keep up patience and communication with people. I think in high stress situations, it's easy to let little miscommunications get in the way. So I think that when you're juggling a lot, it's good. It'll help in your professional life to learn how to deal with little things and just
forget everything that you think.
There you go. And life never stops. So
no, it doesn't.
Might as well add it all on now.
Not to procrastinate.
Yes. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show
Thank you
today.
for having me.
You are so very welcome. And we'll be right back with the news. Yay. Yay.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
And I'm Jessica Thompson. This is your Good Evening KU News Update. Google and Facebook are receiving criticism for fake news stories posted on their websites. The companies responded that they are not tolerating the misinformation that was posted. Facebook is updating its advertisement policies in order to filter out fake news articles.
Snapchat is filing for an initial public offering that will start in March of 2017. This will make Snapchat one of the biggest technological IPOs with a value of $25 billion.
House Republicans renominated Republican Paul Ryan for House Speaker. He will continue as the voice of the GOP in Congress when President-elect Donald Trump takes office.
Thousands of demonstrators protested across North America to demand that the United States government reroute the $3.7 million Dakota Access Pipeline project. The companies behind the project asked the government for permission to complete it. Demonstrators were arrested in North Dakota.
A New York woman claims to have found a dead rodent sewn into a dress from a Zara clothing company. Callie Fiesel bought the dress and noticed an awful smell a week later coming from the dress. She is seeking money and damages for blaming the company for its negligence.
The University of Kansas Jayhawks beat Duke at the Madison Square Garden last night. The Jayhawks shot 50.8% overall. Frank Mason made a jump shot to end the game with a score of 77-75.
And that's all we have for your news update. Stay with us and we'll be right back with a segment from Andy.
In a constantly changing world, media is something that is constantly evolving. With advancement in modern media comes bigger tasks expected from student journalists. Shield laws in some states like Kansas don't protect student journalists and causes many challenges as opposed to their professional counterparts, stated by Janelle Belmas.
We did an analysis of every state's shield law. The shield law is a way in which reporters are permitted to protect their confidential source information to enable a free flow of information to the public. So most states do not include student journalists specifically. In fact, only a couple do. Many states have rules in place in their shield laws or in their common law that would suggest that students wouldn't be included in that protection. For example, they might suggest that people who are covered by the shield law have to make a certain amount of their income through their professional work, or that they are employed by a professional as opposed to a student news organization. So those sorts of things make us worried, because they don't allow students to fall within that broad umbrella of protection, and so might discourage students from going after stories maybe that they should be going after.
A study done at the University of Kansas analyzed laws across the nation that apply to journalists, like private confidential sources and disclosed information rarely applied to student journalists that could potentially benefit them.
We know that news organizations are going through a lot of change now. Newspapers are closing, failing, merging. News organizations are feeling the pinch. We know that in some smaller places, some smaller cities, particularly something like Lawrence, a lot of the news organizations that are out there are student news.
In a constantly changing world, media is something that is constantly evolving. With advancement in modern media comes bigger tasks expected from student journalists. Shield laws in some states like Kansas don't protect student journalists and causes many challenges as opposed to their professional counterparts, stated by Janelle Belmas.
We did an analysis of every state's shield law. The shield law is a way in which reporters are permitted to protect their confidential source information to enable a free flow of information to the public. So most states do not include student journalists specifically. In fact, only a couple do. Many states have rules in place in their shield laws or in their common law that would suggest that students wouldn't be included in that protection. For example, they might suggest that people who are covered by the shield law have to make a certain amount of their income through their professional work, or that they are employed by a professional as opposed to a student news organization. So those sorts of things make us worried, because they don't allow students to fall within that broad umbrella of protection, and so might discourage students from going after stories maybe that they should be going after.
A study done at the University of Kansas analyzed laws across the nation that apply to journalists, like private confidential sources and disclosed information rarely applied to student journalists that could potentially benefit them.
We know that news organizations are going through a lot of change now. Newspapers are closing, failing, merging. News organizations are feeling the pinch. We know that in some smaller places, some smaller cities, particularly something like Lawrence, a lot of the news organizations that are out there are student news organizations that are providing news to the community. So not only do we have the Journal World and Channel 6 and a bunch of other places, we also have student news organizations who are providing a large amount of news to the community.
It is argued that student organizations dealing with media should require these laws to prevent legal action against students. Student journalists being compelled to testify is not uncommon, but a student was recently jailed due to refusing to disclose sources. As roles are expanding for journalism students to play, this problem can increase and occur more frequently.
There are communities that rely even more on their student organizations than Lawrence does. So the reason we are interested in making sure that students are protected is to continue to allow those communities to get that information that might have been provided maybe back in the day by their local newspaper, but maybe not so much anymore in this new online media environment. So we want to provide protections not only for you to do the work you do as students, but also do the work that is serving the community at large. I think that it's a win-win because we're encouraging our students to go after those big stories, giving them, when we can, as much protection from lawsuits as we can to be able to get the story out.
As of right now, student journalists are not protected by any shield laws. This could potentially change as media expands. Young individuals pursuing journalism are encouraged to recognize the right of free press and the vital role it has played throughout history.
Welcome back. This week we're starting a new segment. We'll be reviewing the latest blockbuster movies so you can know whether they're worth seeing in theaters or if maybe you should just wait till Redbox. Our first movie we'll be reviewing is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, the 14th installment in Marvel's Cinematic Universe, comes out quite strong. It has all the elements of what Marvel has done well over the years, but also carries with it the same problems that have been associated with Marvel's origin stories. But any flaws the movie may have are entirely forgivable, as Doctor Strange hits the high notes so well that its lows leave no lasting impact after you walk out of the theater. Doctor Strange starts out how many Marvel origin stories do. We are introduced to neurosurgeon Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, a medical genius with a streak of arrogance. When caught in an accident that leaves his hands, his most valuable asset as a top surgeon, broken with severe nerve damage, Doctor Strange seeks every avenue that may lead to fixing his hands. After traditional medicine fails him, Dr. Stephen Strange heads to Kathmandu, Nepal, where he meets the Ancient One, played by Tilda Swinton. From here, the story takes off as the audience is given a visually stunning and concrete system of magic in which our hero gains his powers. The visuals are breathtaking, and the colorful display of fractals and transdimensional vistas bring us the strongest asset of the film. Doctor Strange quickly becomes the most visually appealing entry in Marvel's Cinematic Universe, mastering the none other than trippy visuals with making these reality-bending scenes appear cluttered or disorienting. As the introduction to Doctor Strange's powers arrive, so do some of the shortcomings of the film. The pacing in Doctor Strange feels off at times, sometimes feeling as if it was sped up too quickly to get to the next plot point, and sometimes dragging on for just a bit too long. But these issues never stay around for long, as before you know it, you are brought into the action with the movie's beautiful, engaging fight scenes. One other shortcoming of the film that has played Marvel origin stories is the lack of an interesting villain. Caecilius, the villain of Doctor Strange, is a stereotypical and one-dimensional villain. Caecilius' motives, while somewhat intriguing, lack any sort of believable and emotional pull, leaving the character as nothing more than a villain for the sake of being a villain. With these shortcomings aside, Doctor Strange is an excellent addition into Marvel's Cinematic Universe. I'm giving it a B+. That'll be all for our show this week. Be sure to tune in after Thanksgiving, and we'll be back.